Hello and welcome to the Trash Talk Podcast. I am host JJ and with me today I have Sergey. Say hello, Sergey.
Hello.
Today, we're going to be talking about something very near and dear to our hearts. We're going to be talking about the so-called show hole, which is when you finish a TV show or a series of books or anything really in theory, and you feel empty afterwards because it's over. And then you inevitably end up filling that hole by just starting something else. So, yeah, Sergey, you brought this up, actually, so I'm going to give you the first word.
Yeah.
Well, first issue, because I already talked well.
I am currently experiencing this show hole phenomenon. I have recently finished a book series, finished all the books that are out yet already. And the next one was supposed to be released in spring 2021. And yeah, it's already October. Spring sure is forever.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Eternal spring.
It is just starting to be spring in the southern hemisphere, okay? Relax. I mean, that should be
That's
true.
That's a point, actually.
It should be pretty opposite. Winter is ending.
Yeah.
It's also always a kind of wild thing to think, how, different times of year exist in different parts of the world, especially if you go to the other hemisphere. Also, it's just always summer if you go further to the equator, and it's basically always winter if you go to Russia. I meant to say further north.
And confirmed.
I mean, Russia, Canada, right? Those are the countries you think of, but generally anything is pretty far north.
Or south.
Or south and southern hemisphere. Again. Poles, equator, moderate zone. Yeah. There are people that live in the southern hemisphere, and that is kind of wild. I mean, not because they live there. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But again, there's people for whom winter is finally coming to an end. Fucking Australians. Mm-hmm. Although I think in Australia it's generally warmer than around here anyway. So not at any given point in time, but overall.
Usually, on average.
Yeah. I think they're further. Well, I guess they're further north than we are south.
They're closer to the equator.
That is what I said. Kind of.
They are closer to the North Pole than we are to the South Pole.
Yes, that is what I said. They're further north than we are south. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Anyways, not the point. Though the idea that it's that's obviously we're talking about Southern Hemisphere spring is kind of funny to me, but so I have noticed. I think it's worse. Though if there's nothing coming out anymore, right? It's actually done.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if it's supposed to be out and it's not, and that doesn't exactly inspire confidence, but I've definitely experienced it. I've mostly experienced it with TV shows, actually. Though I actually have a theory of why that is. And that is because... So, I think you're talking about a series of light novels, right? That's what we're talking about, a relatively long series of...
Yeah. 14 volumes so far.
Yeah, so most of the book series I've read are 3 or 4 books at most. I mean, they're full-size novels.
Yeah.
So it still is not that much less, I think, but I think it's just less time spent with the medium overall, which in turn leads to less attachment, which leads to a weaker effect. Because I was thinking about this, right? And if you don't have that when you finish watching a movie.
No, not at all.
And I think that is really the key, right? The amount of investment, which you can only get so invested in a 90-minute movie. 2 hours, 90 minutes. Sometimes it's even like 60.
90-hour movie.
You get the point. A 90-hour movie. God, that's probably longer than most TV shows. Yeah, that's longer than most TV shows.
I mean, that'd be amazing, though.
A 90-hour movie?
Yeah. I mean, you'd obviously have to watch it in multiple sittings.
I mean,
but...
yes. I don't know. So here's the thing, right? I wonder if it would be horrible in terms of pacing. So, because movies have a certain structure to them. And TV shows...
Oh, no.
TV shows tend to have kind of that same structure on a per episode basis, and then sometimes also on a per season basis, depending on how the show works. But you generally tend to have a somewhat complete story in one episode. Sometimes there's 2-parters or 3-parters, but you gotta have contained episodes, contained stories within the season, even if they are part of a larger narrative. And if you try to do like a 3-act structure with a 90-minute, no, that's fine, 90-hour, Jesus Christ, with a 90-hour story, then it's gonna drag a lot in the beginning and the end, I think.
Probably, yeah. Probably even at the climax, because like it's so drawn out.
Yeah, it's probably hard to do like a. I mean, I don't know what the proportions are, but like a 40-hour climax or something. That's probably also. Yeah, slow burn. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, I as someone who binges TV shows, I definitely both have experienced this phenomenon, and yeah, dude, 90 hours would be something. There's a few shows I think that aren't that long. There's a couple. I know the first thing that comes to mind is that a TV show called The 100 had, guess what, 100 episodes.
100? Yeah.
And so that is like, 45-minute episodes, so you got like close to those 90 hours. Not quite, but it's getting close. And I know there are shows that have run longer. Doctor Who comes to mind. Though, actually, 13 seasons? 12 seasons so far? With like 10, 13 episodes each? Ooh. I mean, Doctor Who overall, yes, but like, I actually don't know how many episodes New Who specifically has. Because it might be fewer than 100. Actually, no, it wouldn't be fewer than 100. It would be more than 100 because there have been at least 10 episodes each season, and there have been over 10 seasons. Math isn't that hard. Oh, dude, imagine binging Doctor Who from start to finish, and then it's over. And then you have to wait.
Yeah. About that. Kinda did something like that when I first started Doctor Who.
Yeah? I mean, I think I did also pretty much do that when I first started watching Doctor Who, but that would have probably been in like, I don't know, like, probably before Matt Smith became the Doctor? So like, I don't know, when would that be? Like 2010 or something?
Who is Matt Smith?
I would have been 12. The 11th Doctor.
I need images.
The one after David Tennant,
yes,
but before Peter Capaldi.
Man. Actually, I do know how Peter Capaldi looks like.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, have you finally gotten to season 3 of Torchwood? Is that why you know what he looks like?
No. Still have to watch episode 4 of season 1.
You're not really hammering home the point about the whole binging TV shows thing really well with the whole, like, oh, I've already watched 3 episodes of Torchwood. Like, the show's over, man. It's been for a while.
I will gonna watch it eventually.
That's also, I think, one of those elements, alright? If you, like, slowly watch something, it doesn't have the same impact, I also find. Not always. Sometimes it does, but even if it does, I don't think it has it as strongly. Right? In terms of, like, again, the show that we're talking about. Where, if I'm like if I, for example, if I watched a show while it is airing, and I'm keeping up with it, and then it's eventually over. Like, sure, there's something of that where it's like, oh, it's over. It's something up, and it's like, oh, yeah, I gotta wait another half year for a new season. That's not as bad, but like it's over. Like, oh yeah, sure, to some degree. But I feel like it's worse if you like watch the entire show in like a couple of weeks than if you do it for over a couple of years.
I mean, I sort of agree with you. Like, if you watch a series over like a couple weeks, yeah, it's gonna be stronger than if you stretch it over like half a year. But it's also, in my opinion, gonna be stronger than if you binge it in like a weekend.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of the shows that I've
binged, do you agree with that?
Couldn't binge over a weekend probably because let's do some quick math. I think you can watch about, like, if you have like 23 episode seasons, 45-minute episodes, you can probably watch about a season a day. So there's some limit to how much you can watch in a weekend, which is about 3 seasons. I
mean, assuming like the series only had like 1 or 2 seasons.
I feel like it doesn't happen as, I mean, maybe because of the speed, but like, I feel like it doesn't happen as much for like 1 season series for me. Like, it just doesn't hit me as hard. I think it has a lot to do with how long it goes on as well. I mean, as I said in the beginning, right? Like, the more total length there is, the more investment you have. Weirdly enough, I don't think I felt that much when Arrow went off the air, but also it's part of a larger verse that is still going on to this day, and is probably going to continue for another couple of years at least. God, that's going to be one hell of a thing when that is over. Dude, that's been going since 2012, I think, and I've pretty much been there from the start.
Yeah,
maybe not quite.
I don't know. We've talked about it last time or the time before that?
I want to say the time before that, but I'm not 100% sure. I know it was the time before that because last time we talked about something else. We talked about ignorance.
Yeah, true.
I like vaguely
have
the thumbnails in my head, like, because I looked at the channel page recently, and so I see them all lined up, and I'm like, the superhero one was not the last one. There was something in between.
True.
Yeah, no, dude, imagine something big like that coming to an end. Also, like, if the Marvel Cinematic Universe ended, would probably also be something big, because even though it is movies, it's a lot of them. And there's also TV shows, but, like, it's a lot of movies. So many movies. But
it really is a lot of movies.
In fact, to a lesser degree, actually experience the same phenomenon, though, even if you're watching a show and it only is the season's over, right? And you're like, oh, I'm gonna now have to wait like half a year to a year until I get to see more of this. It's also not great. And I mean, of course, in the case you explained, where it's like, I don't know when I'm
but it's like more. Not.
That's even worse.
Not the same. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I also thought of? When you watch something and you binge the whole thing, it's over, show whole, blah blah blah, you find a new show, you go on with your life, and like 8 years later, they make a fucking sequel to the show. Oh my god, the nostalgia!
Not always, though. Like, sometimes it's just like, it was so long ago that you don't really even care anymore.
I could see that. I think it also depends on how much the actual show, the original one, resonated with you. And how much your tastes have changed since, especially when it comes to that type of content. Dude. So the 8 years was not just a random number, of course. Have you heard, and this might be too random, but have you heard of Leverage, the TV show?
No.
Well, in that case, this is going to be very exciting for you, because Leverage got a sequel called Leverage Redemption, which started airing like earlier this year, and the second half of the season is coming out yesterday. by which I mean was coming out yesterday, by which I mean it's coming out tomorrow because, yeah, time travel. Yeah, we're recording these on Thursdays or Fridays usually. This time it's Thursday. So yeah, Friday.
Yeah.
New season, the second half of the new season of Leverage, which, like, dude, I randomly saw that was a thing, and I'm like, they made new episodes of that show? I love that show! And then, dude, the nostalgia, when, like, it finally came out and I was watching the first episode of and I'm like, oh my god, this is so great. It's something else. I mean, the other thing is, not only do I still like that show a lot, but also, I think there's only ever been one other show like it, really. I feel like Leverage and, what was it called? I think it was called Hustle. Or Hustlers, or something like that. Were, like, the only two shows really of, like, it's, so, the shows are about, basically, like, con artists doing their thing. In Leverage, it's more about them conning, like rich people and corporations and stuff to help out the poor in kind of like a Robin Hood type thing. And I think in Hustlers, it was more self-serving, but they were still conning rich people because they have money. But I think they were mostly just doing it for themselves. Those
interesting. Okay.
I don't remember ever seeing another show where like conning is like the main thing of what the whole show is about. I'm sure they exist. I'm not saying that's like, but I haven't seen anything else like that. And so I watched, I think, both of those shows relatively shortly after one another. And I think it also says like 6 seasons or something, and Leverage didn't have quite as much, but it might have actually been more. It doesn't matter. And so, like, I've watched, like, all those shows, and, like, I might have been around the time when Leverage was ending, so it would have probably been damn near those 8 years since the show ended and the new show starting. And all of a sudden, like a ton of bricks, it hits me, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I used to love that show.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I can totally see that.
that was a moment. And so the second half of the season is dropping tomorrow as of recording, yesterday as of release of this episode, and for all I know, by the time this episode is out, I've already watched it all. Which then brings up the question, I don't know if they're making the second season yet. I should probably look it up at some point, but I'm not going to do it right now. Because damn, it's going to be sad if that's over. I've already lost it once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you know what also matters a lot, I think? The quality of the finale. Assuming there is a finale. I mean, of course.
Yeah, I'd agree.
You were kind of left in media res, but that means in the action. But I remember, I don't think I really felt that when Lost was over. Because the ending of Lost sucks. Like, you don't want more after that.
Okay.
I mean, the entire last season is kind of weird, but like that last episode is, I don't know. It didn't do it for me, and most people seem to not like it. So, there seems to be good reason for that. It's a good show overall. I would recommend you watch it, but like, you know, that ending sucks. You should probably still watch the ending, but like, it sucks.
You mentioning the ending kind of reminded me of probably one of the most famous show holes in like the anime circle thingy, being No Game No Life.
Okay.
Like it ended in a way that suggests like much more content.
Oh,
like it never happened.
That's the worst, dude. That's the worst. When something you like has a sequel hook at the end, and they don't make a fucking sequel. Okay, so in terms of like from like strongest show hole effect to weakest, it's the unfulfilled sequel hook, satisfying ending, crappy ending. Like, dude.
still bugs me to this day. And it's been, what, like, I don't know, 5-ish years since I've seen that show.
Ooh, okay.
Man.
What's also great is whenever a show has a backdoor pilot for a spin-off, and then the spin-off doesn't get made. I also love when that happens. Bonus points if it happens in the last season of the show, so it wouldn't just be a spin-off, it would basically be a continuation of the show, kind of. And all of a sudden, now it's actually over, despite the fact that you thought it wasn't going to be over.
It hurts so much.
Bring us back to Arrow, because they were going to have a new spin-off of Arrow that ended up not happening, possibly due to COVID, which is like the worst part about this whole thing. It might have, I don't know. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but I feel like it might have happened if it weren't for COVID, which is the other thing, and I was kind of looking forward to that, despite the fact that Arrow wasn't.
Like, was it just like was it completely cancelled, not just delayed?
It was cancelled. Yeah. They had multiple new shows. The CW had multiple new shows that were like kind of talking about making, and then some of them ended up getting cancelled. I don't know if it's strictly because of COVID or not, but I would suspect that COVID doesn't exactly make production cheaper, and if you're like on the verge of greenlighting something or cancelling it, I think you might be more inclined to cancel it, even if there might not have been like the decisive factor. Again, I don't know what the official reason is. I haven't looked too much into it, and I also don't know if they gave an official reason. But Green Arrow and the Canaries, which was kind of sort of a sequel to Arrow, didn't happen. The Arrowverse still exists. So there's that. There was also, speaking of spin-offs that had a backdoor pilot in the last season of an Arrowverse show, there was also going to be a Painkiller show, which was a spin-off of Black Lightning, which also didn't happen, which I'm not as mad about, because I honestly didn't care that much, but also, like, still, you promised me a new show in a verse that I like, and then you just don't deliver.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Lightning was a decent show. It was far from the worst Arrowverse show.
I don't know. Like, I haven't heard of it.
I still low-key want you to watch the entire Arrowverse, you know that, right?
I will not.
I mean, no,
just too much.
Finish Torchwood first, of course. It's just like 700 episodes or so. Let me pull this up again. Why does it not work? Oh, there we go. Cannot go to. Whoops. What did I do wrong? Cannot actually open a new browser window if you're not actually in your browser. I mean, you can, but not that way.
That does make sense.
Okay.
I mean, Flash is part of the Arrowverse, right?
Yes! I believe you literally asked the same question 2 weeks ago.
I think so too, yeah.
So far, only about 706. Didn't I say 706 last time?
I mean, I can tell you that I've already seen like 23 episodes of the Arrowverse.
Dude.
Being the first season of Flash.
See, it's not that hard. It's only like 683 more to go. Plus maybe another dozen or so by the time you're actually caught up with what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Speaking of, like, the opposite of the show holds, of course, anticipation, right? Like, new seasons are starting up literally next week, and I cannot fucking wait. Again, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman.
Yeah.
Mostly Legends, but, like, Batwoman is cool too. Yeah. More Arrowverse shows for me. I think part of why I like the Arrowverse so much is probably just sunk cost. But, like, some of the shows are genuinely good. And I would argue that the others are at least okay. But,
kind of the same thing with Doctor Who episodes.
There's a lot more good Doctor Who episodes than you remember. I'm telling you that much.
Probably.
I mean, I did mention a while back. I'm still in the process of rewatching Doctor Who. It's not going that fast, and I'm not doing it like as consistently as I was before, but like, during the Russell T Davies era, there's a lot of good episodes. That much I can tell you. I mean, after that...
which one is that?
Russell T Davies is the first showrunner of the show. He was the showrunner during, what's-his-face, Christopher Eccleston's and David Tennant's runs as the Doctor. As in the first 4 seasons. First 2 Doctors, first 4 seasons.
Okay.
Of New Who, specifically. There's a lot of good episodes there, and even the ones that aren't that good are still very enjoyable to watch, I find. I don't think there was a single time when I felt like an episode was really tedious to watch or anything like that, despite the fact that I'd already seen them as well. Obviously, the worst episode in that run is Love and Monsters, but honestly, okay, Love and Monsters, I think, is getting too much hate. It's bad, kind of. So it's the one with the Absorbaloff. The big green monster that absorbs people. That's the worst part about the episode. But like, that's what it's known for. Like, the first half of that episode is actually kind of good. I think the pacing isn't great, necessarily, because they do the whole found footage type thing. But like, it's fine, and the storyline is actually pretty good. Until, they introduce the ludicrous monster. With the even more ludicrous name. Which somehow people can just randomly into it.
Wait, how's the episode called?
I believe it's called Love and Monsters. It should be somewhere from like season... I think it's season 2. Somewhere in season 2, I think. Like about halfway through, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Because, like, just Googling Love and Monsters brings up a completely different show with the name Love and Monsters.
That makes sense.
Which is why I was confused.
Yes, the Doctor Who episode Love and Monsters. I believe it's season 2, I want to say. Because I think it was the 10th Doctor and Rose, which would put it in season 2. Let's go to IMDb and look it up. So yeah. Doctor Who. Great show, highly recommended to everyone. Also Torchwood. Sergei, watch Torchwood.
I know.
Every time. So, I guess I'm mostly doing this for myself right now, but Love and Monsters is... Season 2, episode 10. It's towards the end of the second season. About halfway through, it wasn't even that bad. Like, 10 out of 13? That's not quite halfway, but like, it's a bit over halfway, but like, Okay, that's...
Oh, it's the one where, like, random people tried to find the Doctor?
Yeah, it's that one.
Okay, yeah. I somewhat remember that. Wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Well,
But like, again, it's arguably the worst episode, actually, according to this. The episode after that is the worst of the season, according to, I think, or is there another one that's worse than that?
What?
Supposedly the episode after that is the worst of the season, according to the ratings on IMDb.com, which puts Love and Monsters at a 6.1 and Fear Her at a 5.9. And honestly, that might be fair. Because as I said, like, the first half of Love and Monsters is actually kind of good. And Fear Her is kind of weird. It's mostly just weird. Not in a good way.
Yeah.
The average ratings of these episodes are actually pretty good for the most part, but then there's like a couple duds in there. But like, if you look at it, like, most of the early episodes of Doctor Who actually also have pretty good ratings here. Like, the first season is consistently above 7.0, but the worst episode of the first season is 7.0, and that's the first appearance of the Slitheen, of course. They're a bit weird. But, Season 3 seems to have pretty good consistent ratings, with the worst rated episode, I believe, is being 6.9 for Evolution of the Daleks. Oh no, 6.5 Lazarus Experience, right after that. I am blind. But yeah, dude, Blink got a 9.8. And honestly, that's deserved.
It was an amazing app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9.8 out of 10. Dude.
Like one of the best episodes.
Yeah, it is very much
in Doctor Who ever.
And I know, actually, let me see. I can actually probably see which one is the best episode according to the ratings on IMDb. Top rated. Top rated. There we go. Can I? Is this not a button? Oh, this is a button. Okay. Blink is the single highest rated episode of Doctor Who on IMDb. Now, of course, IMDb is probably not the best place to look up ratings, because I thought the purpose of the site should probably go to something like Rotten Tomato or something. But, yeah, 9.8 for Blink, then 9.6 for Heaven Sent, which is a very interesting choice. I believe it's the first or second episode of the last season with the 12th Doctor. That is Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor. I think it's the one where he's in the, yep. It's the one where he's trapped in the thing where he's in the time loop, and he like keeps punching the wall until it eventually breaks.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good too. Yeah.
That is the second highest rated episode according to IMDb of Doctor Who. Oh, and that is Forest of the Dead, which is the first appearance of River Song.
That one is yeah. That's
actually, I think
good.
It's the second part, because Forest of Silence of the Library is the first part, which is rated 5th here. But like they're all very close together.
I forgot that it was a 2-parter.
Yeah, I did too when I was rewatching that. Okay, so according to this, there has been 190 episodes of Doctor Who, and episode The Runaway, which I think is the... Is it
190?
That's not even a full episode. That's not right. Orphan 55 is the lowest rated regular episode of Doctor Who. It's the one where the plot twist is where
yeah. Yeah. It wasn't that great.
Honestly, the Arachnids in the UK might have been worse, but it's like literally
the best part about that episode. Like the best part about that episode was us, the three, sitting in front of the TV trying to decipher what is written there.
So the best part was when I asked again what was written in the second line, it was just the same thing, but in the actual Latin alphabet, so I could have read that.
Yep.
It's worth noting that pretty much all of the lowest rated episodes are ones of the most recent 13th Doctor, which is both very reasonable and also kind of a shame. Because the 13th Doctor sucks not because of any of the reasons some people might say that she sucks, but rather because of the writing. The writing for the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who is probably the weakest it has ever been. And that is unfortunate, because I think Jodie Whittaker could actually play a good incarnation of the Doctor. I actually don't have any problems with her portrayal. As in, like, like sometimes the stuff she says I can have problems with. Again, the script, but the actual, like, embodying of the character, I don't have any problems with. And so, it kind of sucks that, like, a lot of people are like, oh, the Doctor shouldn't be cast as a woman, and this is gonna be the downfall of the show, and then, like, it ended up actually being kind of true, not because she's a woman, but because the new showrunner evidently doesn't seem to be good at running the show, despite the fact that he also was the showrunner for Torchwood. Which is good! I think, so, okay, I have read on the wiki that supposedly Chris Chibnall was the showrunner, or like something pretty high on Torchwood, but it doesn't make sense to me because Torchwood was great, and Doctor Who seasons 12 and 11 were not that good. Torch. No, I'm going to go the other way. Chris Chibnall.
Yeah, I would agree.
Chris Chibnall was the head writer and executive producer of Doctor Who, starting with series 11. That I knew. Before taking over from Stephen Moffat, Chibnall had written several episodes of Doctor Who. He was also the effective head writer of series 1 and 2 of Torchwood, after becoming the co-producer of those first two series. Okay, so he was the head writer, not the showrunner. I guess that's different. Yeah. Though, again, actually, I say again, I haven't brought this up. Showrunning and writing are not the same thing, and you can be really good at one and really bad at the other, because, arguably, Russell T Davies' era of Doctor Who was the best, and then it went downhill when Stephen Moffat took over, and then it went downhill again when Chris Chibnall took over, because of fucking hell. But Stephen Moffat's era of Doctor Who is arguably worse than Russell T Davies. There might be some people that disagree, but it's not just my opinion, though it is also my opinion, but it seems to also be somewhat agreed upon. However, Stephen Moffat also wrote Blink, the single best episode of Doctor Who. I didn't know this was going to be a Doctor Who topic, but I guess this was a Doctor Who topic.
Yeah, it turned out to be.
Fact time?
Fact time. We've been at it for a while.
So, okay, what is your fact of the week?
I think we've covered like 2 topics.
Yep.
My fact of the week is related to the popular idiom, greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yes.
Do you know what the greatest thing before sliced bread was?
Like, literally before sliced bread, or like, because sliced bread is obviously the best thing since whatever the other thing. Before, I don't know, the wheel? Oh, non-sliced bread.
So apparently in 1928, when sliced bread first was sold, like pre-sliced, it was advertised with the slogan, "The greatest forward step in the baking industry since bread was wrapped." So wrapped bread is the best thing before sliced bread.
In the baking industry. But yeah,
yeah.
Which is a lot more specific. Okay, that is interesting. Oh, God. Yeah.
So whenever someone asks you, ironically, like jokingly, for what the best thing before sliced bread was, now you know.
Okay, my fact of the week might be even funnier.
Ooh.
It's a language fact. And this is about the French word for walkie-talkie. Now, if you were to come up with a word for walkie-talkie in a different language, how would you go about that?
I don't know. I'd probably look at what other languages do and do something similar. Like loan word.
So, I mean, the German word for walkie-talkie, for example, is walkie-talkie. I think. I'm pretty sure we also use that. But like...
I think so.
You know what the French word for walkie-talkie is? Get this. It's talkie-walkie. It's talkie-walkie. It's... You thought that was a good idea! I mean, walkie-talkie is already a weird word if you think about it. But like, they just...
Yeah.
Now, it does kind of make sense, because the French language is more strongly head initial than the English language, which is to say, nouns come before adjectives, for example. Not always, but usually. So, you get a lot of stuff where, because the adjectives comes after the word, and then also descriptors come oftentimes after, so And we literally had that, an example I remember for some reason is when we were looking at the logos for the Hearthstone expansion, Skullman's Academy. And the French one was Académie de Skullmans. Right? It's just literally just the same thing, Academy of Skullmans. Right? It's just the other way around. Because the root comes first, right? The English word city center has the French counterpart, centre-ville. Right? It's like center, city. It's things are often the other way around. But so it kind of makes sense that it would inverse walkie-talkie and make it talkie-walkie, but also it's not like there's a logical connection to where one of those is clearly the head and the other part is like the dependent, right? It's like these have no reason to necessarily be in any order. So the fact that you choose to reverse them still feels kind of arbitrary. And now that I think about it, I should have looked up if the other Romance languages do something similar. Do we want to do that? You know what? Let's do...
let's do that.
Let's do something fun. I'm going to do English. Okay, so I have this right here. Now you can see what I'm seeing.
Ooh.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
Walkie. Talkie. See? Talkie walkie. That's French. Yes, of course it is. Because why wouldn't it be? Oh, apparently it's feminine. I didn't know that. Or at least I didn't consciously know that. So, let's see. Let's go to Spanish, which is under S, like Spanish. I think. Yeah, there it is.
You can just type SP.
Okay. It's walkie-talkie.
Click enter.
And apparently it's masculine. Which is inconsistent. Okay, so normally in Romance languages, if the word is masculine in one language, it's going to be in all, at least if it's related. It doesn't have to be with loanwords necessarily, because they might have loaned from different sources, and if they use different words for the same thing, like completely different unrelated words, then it can also happen, but generally speaking, let's go Italian really quickly, just to check what they do.
Let's type IT.
Okay,
Rice trasmittente.
Okay, yeah, it's something about a transmitter, but apparently they also say il walkie-talkie, just with a dash. Which...
I mean, that's fair.
Let's go with the other last major Romance... Actually, last major Romance language, people know it's not even true. Let's go with Portuguese. The other relatively well-known, it's under... Wait, you said I can just type? Portuguese.
Yes.
Walkie-talkie. Makes sense. Let's do Romanian.
And also press enter.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Stati emiste recipite radio portatif. Okay, like nothing related. But at least I didn't go with talkie-walkie. Okay? We're good here.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? What is it called? I guess I don't have it. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Point is, not only did I just prove that the French are even more crazy than I was giving them credit for, because they're the only ones, evidently. I guess I could do detect language talkie-walkie, but it's probably just going to throw French at me anyways. Yeah. That is the talkie-walkie. Because the French are insane. I was watching a video today, and I heard someone say it, and I was like, and I had to laugh. Like, I knew that it was the French word for walkie-talkie, but like, it's still like, it hit me the moment
it sounds so silly.
Oh my fuck god, it's so hilarious. And of course, there's actually a reason why it sounds funny to English speakers, because as with everything, you can only say it one way around, or otherwise it's gonna sound insane. Kind of like how adjectives go in a certain order. From like, if you say like the old red ball, it makes sense, but like the red old ball sounds odd. And there's also other stuff like what is it, tic tac and TikTok and those sort of ones where it's like the vowels and those sort of things where it just changes the vowel, always go in a certain order. It's like talk, take, without sound weird. And I think there might also be a rule that makes it that talkie-walkie sounds weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just habit that you're used to it being walkie-talkie. But like, yeah, talkie-walkie. Yeah. It's hilarious. That brings us to the halftime show.
Ooh, yes.
Will you press the button? I believe the process are called will you press the button. Comment doesn't matter though. Yeah, it is. You have the ability to turn any strand of your hair into $20 bills, but your hair will never grow back after.
Let's see. Average person.
Does it even matter?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, first of all, as person in the comments pointed out, you can get rid of unwanted hair that way, so that's cool. Second of all, we've talked about this before, Sergey. This is a limitation on the power itself, more so than an actual downside. If you press the button, you don't have to use the power.
It does not specify that my hair will only not grow back if I turn them into $20 bills.
I mean, it does say after.
Just states that they will never grow back.
You have the ability to turn any strand of your hair into $20 bills, but your hair will never grow back after.
Okay. Yes. With that addition, I will press the button.
Like, people,
because I do, in fact, have unwanted body hair.
I was about to say that as well, right? Like, there's definitely some hair I would get rid of. I need to shave.
Yeah, same.
Ooh, you are immortal. That doesn't mean you stop aging. And the top comment is subject hardness.
Two downsides.
Well, at least not at nearly the rate of regular people. What is your comment about? Have you even seen Doctor Who and Torchwood? Like, what the fuck? Besides that, I would compare it more to Torchwood Miracle Day, which you haven't seen yet. I will not.
I will not press the button. It's like two downsides.
Yeah, I was about to say, we've talked about this. Immortality, just without any specifications, is not necessarily a great thing. And this is like the worst form of immortality. You get your letter to go to Hogwarts, but you have to be a first year for all 7 years. And Sergey is getting interrupted by someone, but we can't hear that, so it's fine. I'm just going to keep talking and say, I don't know what I was going to say, but like Sergey's back. Sergey, do you want to go to Hogwarts as a first year for 7 years?
7 years. It's a huge time investment.
I mean, you get to learn magic, though. But probably not very well.
But
I guess you get to really nail the basics.
First year magic. True.
This is the thing, right? Like, you don't get to graduate, presumably. Meaning you don't... The only thing you get out of it is the experience you gained, and it is 7 years. But it's magic.
Get to drop out after like 2 or 3 years.
I don't think so. But you get to learn literal magic.
I guess, yeah, sure.
I would totally press the button and I would just self-study on top of that to get better at magic.
Yeah. True.
You can stop time whenever you want for as long as you want. That's not the order in which it said that, but it's fine. But every second, minute, or year that you pause time for is taken off the end of your life. You continue to age even if time is standing still. So effectively, while you're pausing, you're aging, and you're shortening your life.
Wasn't the person just trying to like say that you continue aging?
Every second, minute, or year that you pause that you pause time for is taken off the end of your life. You continue to age even if time is standing still. Oh, yeah, right, it might not be double. I mean, in that case, it's just always how I imagine time-stopping powers to work anyways.
Yeah. I totally do that.
Yes. So here's the thing. Once again, it's not optimal, because you age faster than everyone around you if you actually use the powers a lot. But it also has uses. Also, you don't have to use it.
You don't have to.
Like, Sergey explained this to me once when we had this for the first time when this came up, and it's like, it makes perfect sense, right? Never decline a power that has, like, a condition to if you use it. Because you don't have to use it.
Yep.
You become all-powerful. Have more money than Microsoft. And be considered the first ruler of all humanity. But you die in 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure the Roman emperors were considered rulers of all humanity. Even if they weren't actually, but like, I'm pretty sure, at least by their citizens, they were considered such. But like, that's just the point. Because they thought that they like had conquered the world.
Probably. Yeah, no, I'll pass. I will also do like my life.
I was going to say, like, 2 weeks is like not a lot of time.
Alex would have pressed it, though.
I mean, yeah, of course he would have. Because he cares more about legacy than life, apparently. At least according to a lot of the things he said on, like, Would You Rathers and the like.
Yeah.
Which I don't get, but, you know. This is a weird one. You will be the happiest man in the world, but you have to take the virginity of your own daughter. I can't actually hear you, but I can see the face you're making. I think he was just silent saying what.
What the fuck?
Okay, so, First of all, I want to actually talk about this. First of all, what happens if I don't have children, or more specifically, don't have daughters? Does this button also require me to have one? Number 2. What does the happiest man in the world even mean? Because it also sounds like one of those things that isn't necessarily even 100% good.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I will not either way, but like, what's wrong with you? As the top comment says, the creator of this dilemma has a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so do 31% of people. You become the best actor in the world, but you'll never fall in love.
It's an interesting one. I will not press the button, but like the trade-off is interesting.
Yes, I find it interesting as well, because in theory, both of these are possibilities already. It seems unlikely over an entire lifetime, assuming that you live a long life, to never fall in love, but it's technically possible. I mean, I swear to God, like, all the aromantic people have already clicked the button, right? They're like, yeah, there's no downside. I don't see the downside. But like, first of all, that. Then second of all, even if you are not aromantic, you could still never fall in love for practical reasons because you never find someone that you... Anyways. And you could also become the best actor in the world. As a matter of fact, someone is.
Yeah.
Based on how superlatives work, someone right now is the best actor in the world. And the best part is, you probably never heard their name.
Are you talking to me specifically or to the audience?
I was thinking in general, because best doesn't necessarily mean most well-known.
Yeah.
And also I feel like if you are the best, chances are you're probably playing theater and not Hollywood, because in theory you don't get multiple takes. So I would assume that theater actors are probably actually better at acting. Maybe they don't give like the very best performances, but they probably give the most consistently good performances compared to other types of actors. Anyways, I will not. Let's do one more and then go to the second topic, because I think we are going for a while already. I said next.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most people did not, by the way. Your crush likes you, which is assuming that I have a crush right now. But you can't doing anything physical together. I think they're supposed to say do. And again, and as the person already comments out, this time it's the asexuals that will like this one. No. There's so many reasons not to press this button. Number one, I'm not gonna fuck with someone's free will. Like, even if I had a crush right now. Like, that is so highly immoral, and how satisfying is a relationship gonna be if you know that that possibly the only reason they like you is because you pressed a magical button? That's not a good basis for a relationship. Even I know that.
Yep. Yeah.
That does not sound healthy.
Not at all.
Like, I don't even care about the downside, right? Like, this just seems like a bad idea. That's always the thing I've thought for a while now also about, like, the whole idea of, like, love potions and that sort of stuff. Was like, it just, it seems very rapey. I mean, obviously in this case, not physically because you can't, but, like, it's a thing where it's like, if they don't really want to, and you use magic, I guess, to make them want to, that's really iffy.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to Jack Harkness, because that's also a bit of a yikes for me, because he has super hormones, which make people like him more. But then again, we also all have regular hormones, which make people like us more, so I don't know if that's immoral or not, because it's just how he is. So we're bringing back another old topic. Closed-ended questions. They're short and sweet, well, the answers are usually, because that's how they're built. And we're starting with number 17. What's your favorite possession?
My PC.
I was going to say, like, first of all, what is a discrete possession? Because most things are a collection of other things. As in, my PC is made of components, which is, like, not all of which were bought at the same time even. So, like, it being one possession is kind of weird, but also it doesn't really function if it doesn't have all the components, or at least some of the components are necessary for it to function. So it's like, anyways. If you said the PC is one discrete thing, then I think I would have to go with that, not only because it is somewhat expensive, even though I still have to actually throw some more money at that to actually make it better, but that's the point. Not only is it somewhat expensive, but it's also one of the most useful things I possess.
Yeah, by far.
On a closely related note, this couch. I spent about as much time on this couch as I do at this computer, and it also wasn't very cheap. So, in a way, those kind of, for very similar reasons, make a lot of sense. Though I had another couch before this one, and I've had this computer longer, so there's that. But this couch is better than the old one, because it's made out of real leather.
Oh, damn.
The other one was fake leather, which, what they didn't tell us when they sold it to us is that, apparently, after a while, it starts flaking the fuck off.
Ooh. Ooh, no.
That's not good at all. So yeah, that's why I have a new couch. But I mean, I've had this new couch for a couple of years now, but like, I think we started this channel on the old couch. Yes, we did. I'm not sure if Sergey has ever seen the old couch. That gives you a rough time frame.
I have not.
That gives you a rough time frame of how old this current couch is. Are you an easygoing person?
Think so.
I was gonna say, like, what exactly?
At least I'd like to believe.
Qualifies easygoing, but I would say so, yeah. Like, I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of guy, which I think is what they're talking about. What is your worst habit?
How do you define habit?
A action you perform habitually. I just like definitions that have a word from the word group of the word you're defining in them. So they're almost self-recursive. I mean, it is... I think it's something you do on a regular basis without necessarily needing to be prompted to, and with some degree of automaticity.
Procrastination fall under a habit?
So I didn't acoustically get that. What did you say? What doesn't fall under... What does?
Is procrastinating a habit?
That's a good question.
Because if it is, then that's ruining my life.
I mean...
More or less slightly exaggerated.
I mean, yeah, I could see that, though. I mean, it is something you do somewhat regularly, unpromptedly, and without much thinking about it. So I guess it, by the parameters that I myself laid out of how I would intuitively define a habit without looking it up like we usually do, this program has moved slightly away from looking things up every time we come up with one of these problems. I guess it would be a habit. And since I can't come up with anything better, yeah, definitely that one.
Yeah.
How many hours of free time do you have on an average weekday?
Ha.
What he said.
All of them.
Yeah, right. Like the question is how do we define free time? And it's like time that you're not working. The question is also time that you're not sleeping, because that's the only thing that like would really cut into it from me, because I don't have a job. I am a college student and I don't really go to college. I should. And for a while there, I even went to exams at least. I didn't necessarily go to college regularly either, because we don't have to. And then I didn't go because of COVID, but like I should be going back, and that's the whole thing. But yeah, I have a lot of free time. I probably should have less free time, to be honest. I mean, I enjoy having free time, but like stuff needs to get done as well. Do you think humans will colonize another planet or moon in the next 100 years?
Maybe?
I would say yes. I don't know if we are going to establish a full self-sustaining colony in 100 years. That I'm more doubtful of. But establishing a colony, I think so. There might be a semi-permanent moon base, because that's relatively easy to get from and to. And there might be a Mars colony, which would presumably get, every now and again, get a supply rocket or something from Earth. That sounds...
I don't...
vaguely possible.
I doubt that we'll have a moon base anytime soon. I think Mars is like higher on the priority list.
It's kind of weird because,
as far as I understand it,
moon base is kind of a sci-fi staple, and again, it makes sense because it's relatively easy to access, but also you're never going to permanently colonize the moon with a self-sustaining environment. So Mars makes more sense. Also, better gravity on Mars, I think. I think Mars has like a third Earth gravity, and like Moon has like a 10th or so.
Yeah, something like that.
It's not exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure Mars is somewhere in the 0.3 something range, so that's pretty much a third. I don't know exactly about the moon, but it's even lower, which is important for like sustained living there. I think, based on what I know about human physiology and gravity, I think Mars might be good enough. Though people that grow up on Mars will still probably have difficulty. Like if someone was born on Mars, they'll probably still have difficulty on Earth with higher G-forces.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Do you look through the bathroom drawers when you go to the bathroom in someone's house?
No.
Me neither.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know, right? What emotion do you feel most? That's hard to say, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, joy?
I guess.
I mean, it's either joy or worry, but I think worry is probably lower because while I do in theory have a lot of things to worry about, most of the time I don't. Which is really, like, in some ways I think I should worry more, but in other, like, I feel like the things that I do end up worrying about are also always the wrong ones.
Yes.
I think
I can relate to that so much.
I might have, like, a mild social anxiety or something because, like, phone calls are, like, the worst. Like, when you have to call somewhere, not fun. Like, the thing is, like, doing it is not even that bad, but, like, having to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think generally...
Man,
probably,
I've legit been sitting for, like, an hour or more at a time with, like, a telephone in my hand, a phone in my hand, like, just building up the courage to dial the number. It's bad.
I haven't done that exactly, because... Okay, I don't think I would ever do that, because... I mean, I would just get bored, right? But, like, I have definitely I have put off making calls. But not, like, I'm not sitting there with my phone in the hand, right? Like, it's like, if I'm calling, I'm calling. But, like, if I have to call, like, sometime within the next week, I'm probably doing it, like, at, like, the last possible moment. Also, then I don't have, and I can't cycle all of it because I have to. So, like, that, yes. But yeah, I mean, I think consistently, I think it's probably joy, actually, because I don't know if I'm constantly feeling emotions. That's also the one thing where it's like, I feel like most of the time I'm in, like, a neutral, right? Where it's like, I don't feel any particular emotion to, like, a noteworthy degree. But, like, when I do, it's probably joy or something, because I do a lot of things that I enjoy doing. And I try not to dwell on negative emotions. And I'm really good at distracting myself, so those don't come up that much consistently. And then in terms of the positive realm, like, what much is there besides joy?
Through that, yeah.
Like happiness, joy, it's all kinds of thing. I mean...
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
And last but not least, number 24, because we're ending on, like, a semi-round number, because I'm not going to go to 32. How many cups of coffee do you usually drink in a day?
Like 0.00 something?
Okay, first of all, it says usually, so I guess 0 for you. It doesn't say on average, it says usually. And if you want to go with usually, it varies wildly. On average, probably 2 or 3, maybe a bit more, probably more. I'm not counting, and also, very important is the question, how do you define a cup of coffee? It's a stupid question, right? But, like, 1 second.
Like, I'd say something like 250 milliliters of coffee.
I'm back, and I totally did not lose the headphones out of my ears. Which, like, the cable's long enough, I just got them stuck on something. This thing is what I would consider, like, a cup of coffee, because, like, I fill it once, and I drink it empty. Right? Hands for scale. I mean, I don't know. You don't know how big my hands are. I don't know. Headphones, you don't know how big my hands are. Do I have a banana? I don't know, right? Like, the point is, this is like 450-ish milliliters, I think.
Oh, that's a big cup.
Which is my point, right? I hope it kind of visually comes to that this is a big cup. It's a mug. It's large.
Not really.
It's huge, okay?
That does not help.
Yeah, no, it's rather large.
It's cracked.
I know, it's just a little...
In more ways than one.
It has a chip. It has a bit chipped. And I think, I think there's a little bit of... I mean, on the inside, there's a lot of, like, spider webbing going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's still stable for now, and and to be fair, this is my biggest mug. But it's also the one I use the most, because it is my biggest mug. I think the other ones are more in, like, the 300 milliliter sort of range. But it's still, like, if you order a cup of coffee in a restaurant, it's going to be a lot smaller than this, which is like the main thing I'm getting at, right? If I use this mug in a day, I probably also drink slightly fewer of those than if I have the slightly smaller one, because I empty the smaller ones quicker because they're smaller. I think today I had 3 of these, maybe 2, possibly. I think 3 though. So that's a
lot of coffee.
That's close to 1.5 liters of coffee. That feels like maybe slightly above average, but like if I have this mug, I will probably drink at least 2, unless like I'm going somewhere today or something. Because that's the thing, right? The more I'm at home, the more coffee I drink. Because on the go, there's usually not as many opportunities to drink coffee. So generally speaking, I drink more coffee at home. I have bought coffees to go. I've had coffees at restaurants. It's like, not like I don't drink coffee outside of home, but like generally the most coffee I'll drink is at home. So if I'm at home all day, probably about 1.5 liters. Maybe a little bit less, but like somewhere between 1 liter and 1.5 liters for sure. Which is kind of wild if you consider that I also recently did the math and it was, what did I say, like 4.5 liters of water that I drink every day?
That's a lot.
I know, right? Should probably ask my doctor about that. That does sound like a lot. That's about 6 liters of liquid. And, let me just... Okay, the 0.5 L in OZ. Let's just look for our market rates. So the 1.5 liters of coffee are about 50 fluid ounces. So yeah. And then, of course, the total amount of liquid I drink in a day, I guess, can get to around 4 times that. So about 200 fluid ounces. Wait, gallons! Gallons are a thing. Let's do gallons. I think gallons would be the appropriate thing.
Yeah.
Gallons. Why is Google now in dark mode? When I was doing the first one, it wasn't. And then the second one it is.
That's interesting.
I know, right? Okay, so it's about 0.4 gallons of coffee that I drink in a day, and about 1.2 gallons of water. And about 1.6 gallons of liquid in total then.
Yeah.
All right. Where was I? All right, yeah, that was the last one I said. Ooh, that next one is spicy as well. But we're not going to talk about that today because we're coming to an end with this show, and that brings up the very important question of Sergey, what is your song of this week?
My song of the week is Lag Train by Ina Bakumori.
Wait, what the fuck did I do? No! Ah! I pressed a bunch of things!
Technical difficulties.
Okay. Let's try this again. I accidentally pressed the wrong shortcut to switch the zine. And that was the one that activates the sources. And apparently that works even if you're not on the scene, which kind of makes sense. Because I think the sources are not scene specific.
Oh no.
Anyways, it's all fixed. It should work now. So yeah, what is the song of the week?
Lag Train by Ina Bakumori.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any strong feelings about this. It's one of those where it sounds vaguely Japanese.
Vaguely.
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
Okay.
I feel like all. Okay, there's no non-insensitive way to say this, but I feel like all Japanese music sounds the same. At least all the Japanese music that I've heard pretty much sounds the same. I mean, okay, there's rap sometimes, but like besides that, it all kind of sounds like this. No, that's not actually true. Heavy metal sounds a bit different. But like a lot of Japanese music kind of sounds more or less like that. I mean, it might just be something about the rhythm of the language I'm picking up, not more so than about the actual musical style. But I feel like when I hear Japanese music, my first thought is usually like, oh, this is Japanese music. Oh yeah, there's also Japanese writing on there, isn't there?
Yes.
I cannot see them very well from over here. Over here, I say, as if people knew how far away from the screen I'm sitting. I'm sitting unnecessarily far away from the screen, basically, because I could have just as well put this on the other screen and there would be no downside to doing so, except that I'm not looking straight at the camera, which actually is a big downside. Okay. Anything you want to add about your song of the week?
I've first discovered it, like, I think a day or two after our last podcast.
Okay, cool.
After we recorded it, and I've spent like 2-ish hours listening to that since then. Yeah, I do like this song.
Fair enough.
And obvious candidate for song of the week.
Yeah, I mean that is like the textbook definition of a song of the week, right? It doesn't always end up being like that, but like whenever I discover a song in between podcasts, it's usually gonna be my song of the week. And if I discover multiple, then those might become songs of the week over a couple of weeks, or they will never become. Okay, I mean, who knows? My song of the week, inversely, is not one that I recently discovered, really, but it is one that I've just now added to my music collection. Because I still have this long list of songs that I wasn't 100% sure if I liked them enough to put them in my music collection. And then sometimes I listen through that and I pick out songs that I like to add to my music collection and songs that I didn't like enough to remove from that list. Until hopefully the list is empty someday. Except it's growing faster than it's shrinking, so it's never going to be probably. But that's not really what I'm getting at. A song that I've heard before. Years ago. I was about to say when it first came out, but I think it's from the 90s, so that's not true because I'm literally not as old as that song, I think. But like, I think it was from 92. But the point is, a song that I have heard definitely in my past. And that you might have heard as well, who knows? And that's what I picked. And I kind of had sort of known it for a while, and now I have it in my collection. And that song is 7 Seconds by Yusu Ndur and probably Endure, and what is her name? Nene Cherry. I think I got that right.
And when a child is born into this world, it has no concept of the tone of skin it's living in. It's not a second, we're 7 seconds away. Just as long as I stay, I'll be waiting.
Got the names right.
Yeah, I might have heard it before, but definitely before I understood English.
Yes. I think the first time I heard it was also before I understood English. That is fair. I mean, I already kind of like the song back then because it just sounds nice. But the whole messaging about like racism bad is also actually something I totally agree with. So, there's that.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that racism is bad last week, so I don't think I need to hammer that point home anymore. That was my song of the week. And by the way, I know this podcast is already kind of long, but I actually found it a really fun, when I was looking up something about the song, I found it a really fun fact. And that is that, I'm gonna pull this up again because I don't want to get this wrong. And that is that Yusu Ndur, the singer of the song, was born, get this, in the Mali Federation. Which I was like, wait, Mali Federation? That sounds weird. I mean, Mali is a country in Africa, but like, Mali Federation. That sounds odd.
Okay.
Clicked on it, right? the Mali Federation was a federation in West Africa linking the French colonies of Senegal and the Sudanese Republic, or French Sudan, for 2 months in 1960. Okay. Fact is, okay, so technically that's a bit of an exaggeration because it was established in April 1959. He was born in October. It became independent in June 1960, and then dissolved in August of 1960. It existed in total before its independence and after its independence, in total for about 1.5 years. But still, this man was born in a country that barely existed. Like, which it's kind of odd because before then it was French Senegal and French Sudan, and after it was Senegal and Mali. So like, it's just kind of been 2 countries before, well, 2 territories of France before, and 2 countries after, and I guess they were just together for that time to get their independence, basically. From me skimming over the Wikipedia situation there, but like, I thought it was interesting, so...
That's pretty cool.
I figured I was going to bring it up. I don't think this was factored in the Wiki material because it's so random, but apparently, yeah, there was a country that's made up of effectively 2 countries for like a year and a half, and this guy, who is probably the most internationally well-known Senegalese singer, happened to be born in that kind of a country. Well, it was a country, but like for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all I had on that. I mean, he's the only singer from Senegal that I know. African music tends to not make its way out of Africa. Like, that's just a general fact. I think. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, but it just doesn't make it out there. And I mean, of course, it's not that this one isn't really as much African music. It's made in a cooperation between Nina Cher, I think she's Swedish or something, but like with like American parents or English parents or something. And then this guy is from Senegal, and they sang together. Podbean, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy the video, leave a dislike. I mean, you know how this works. Comments for comments, joining the Discord for joining the Discord, subscribing to be subscribed and to not miss future uploads, bell for bell things, and it's okay.
That's it?
That's
That was
it.
a lot of stuff. Probably it is that's it.
That's it.